Good afternoon. It's August 17th, 2025, and it's the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And in the Gospel today, we hear something that for many people is very, very upsetting. Jesus tells us that he did not come to bring us peace, he came to bring a fire that would create division, where in a family of five, mother will hate daughter, daughter will hate mother, father will hate son, son will hate father. The discord within the family will be great, and the community as an extension of that. This fire. It's very upsetting because supposedly we hear that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He is supposed to be bringing peace to our world. And what does he tell us? I'm not bringing you peace. I'm going to bring a fire that creates division. So how do we need to understand this? And it's where we have to be very, very careful when we're reading the scriptures, because sometimes we have to take a step back and look at the context and the situation and the time. And what is Jesus really getting at here? And what he's getting at is peace. The downside of it is for peace to exist, you and I have to get rid of certain things. We need to get rid of our biases, we need to get rid of our jealousies, we need to get rid of our racism, we need to get rid of a whole lot of stuff that's within us that we generally refer to as sin. See, the fire that Jesus is bringing is a purging fire. And you and I have a choice. We can either do that purging here on earth, or we're going to do it in purgatory, one place or another. You have to get rid of it. Because the only way we're going to stand before the beatific vision of Jesus is in a pure state, 7 times refined. And that purging is what you and I need to work on, and better to work on it now than later. So how do I work on it? Well, part of it is to really know yourself and to be honest with yourself about your sins, your sinful nature, and your struggles. All of us have that stuff. Whether it's pride, whether it's arrogance, whether it's insecurities, whether it's selfishness, we all have stuff that we need to get rid of. Burn it out of ourselves. Purge ourselves from those things, those sins. Problem with that is as we do it, it creates disunity around us. See, change is hard for every one of us, but change is hard for families, for communities, for all kinds of people. Years ago, when I told friends that I was considering going to the seminary to study for the priesthood, a lot of people laughed it off. Some people made fun of me. And then when I went, I lost friends. People who, I used to play ball with, I used to have a drink with, we used to go hiking together. And now all of a sudden, because I've made this choice in life, they don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. And it's very, very hard. And a couple of them that I knew quite well, I actually went and challenged. And what was interesting was their response. Their response was more about, if I'm going to make this radical change in my life, then what are the radical changes that they might have to make in their own life? What's interesting about it is these two people that I challenged and we talked and we had a conversation around actually are still friends today. But both of them had to go through sort of their own metamorphosis, and they needed to make changes. Because all of a sudden they realized that change is possible. And too often we get comfortable and we go, well, I can't really change. I am the way I am. This is who I am, and I can't change. Well, the reality is we can change. But do we have the courage? Do we have the willpower? Do we have the desire to actually make those changes in our lives? Are we willing to do the work that is necessary? And sometimes it's attitudinal changes. Sometimes it is physical changes. Sometimes it could be just about anything. But the spiritual changes that Jesus is looking for are something different again. Love God above all things, love your neighbor as yourself. Now, many of us claim to love God and many of us claim to love our neighbor, but do our words and our actions come together? Are they coherent? Do they work together? Oh yes, I love God above all things, but I take the name of the Lord in vain. I love God above all things, but my reverence for the church, for the Eucharist, for my brother man is not there. My respect for women, not there. One of the things that I've always found very challenging is in our society today, this whole lack of respect for each other. And we talk about a lack of respect for the Eucharist, we talk about a lack of respect for the church, for the priesthood, for the religious life, but our whole society is filled with lack of respect. We don't listen to each other, we don't respect each other's thoughts and words and give them a chance to share them. We have a tendency to jump to conclusion. We think that our opinion is more important than what the truth is. Well, how I see it becomes a rally cry. Instead of sitting down and going, okay, but there is a reality here, there is a truth. And the truth is Jesus Christ. But do I harmonize my life with Him and His teachings, or am I trying to follow some path of my own? All of that change creates disharmony. Because not everybody likes to change, and not everybody wants to change, because change is hard, but it is required. How do I change myself? Well, I have a very good friend, an old and venerable priest, and I like giving him a hard time about change. And I said to him one day, I said, so, Father, when do you hit the point where we don't sin anymore? He says, Kevin, the older you get, it's not what you did, it's what you failed to do. And so I teased him a little bit more. I said, so what are the things that you failed to do? And he was very honest with me. He says, Kevin, he says, there are some days when I'm so tired in the afternoon and I forget to say my afternoon prayers. And I take a nap instead. Now part of me, because he is quite up there in age, goes, well, but Father, you're well past the age of, your nap is probably more important than anything. Challenge is he still sees as something that needs to be purged, something that needs to be burnt out. If his love of God is that strong, then it should come before the nap. In our own daily lives, from time to time, we need to sit down with ourselves and go, what do I need to get rid of? What needs to be purged from my life? Or more specifically, how do I walk closer with God and closer with my neighbor? It is August 17th, 2025, and it's the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. May God continue to watch over you, bless you, keep you safe all the days of your life. God bless you all.